Amazing audience, we are live. We are in Second Beach right now.
Stanley Park.
Stanley Park. Oh, there we go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy just came riding, using tech, of course. So we're tracking each other. So he's seeing me, I'm seeing him. All right. Let me do this here so you can see both of us. And here he comes.
Here we
Mark
go.
Ainley.
Good to see
Great
you.
pleasure.
In person.
Wow.
A year and a half after we first spoke.
Virtually. Like I didn't see you.
That's right.
I mean, you were wearing an amazing shirt, right? In the biopic.
Yeah, that's right.
And we did have an amazing conversation.
It was great.
Yeah, spoke about feng shui.
Yes.
Spoke about what you do, which was a few other things, if my memory serves me right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I work with classical music, with electronic music.
Yeah.
It's sort of a general theme, I think, of like reframing the past, revisiting the past in terms of looking at where you are now and where you're going in the future.
Your favorite song though was not a classical. It was it BC?
I'm not sure what we talked about with that. I don't listen to a lot of like popular music. It tends to be really classical or electronic, so a little bit obscure in both realms.
I think it was something by BC, if I'm not something like, probably because I'm in British Columbia, I'm thinking BC, but it was, I remember you saying it wasn't classical back then. Right?
Quite likely.
That was interesting. We spoke about your earliest childhood memory,
Mm-hmm.
right, with the light.
That's right.
You just seeing and being aware of like time froze.
Yeah, it was really, it's amazing, and I sometimes go back to, I have that experience again, when I see the sunlight, and in the area that we're in Stanley Park, the way that light, it sometimes just becomes solid. Yeah. You get this air that becomes almost solid with the light, and I really remember that experience at 2 or 3 years old, and in the country, in the kitchen.
Amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And to see you now, there's a bit of a feng shui type feel, and you're not even dressed up. Like
I know.
by gear, right?
I just came on my bicycle. I didn't know we were going to be doing this, so I just wanted to say hello.
Dressed up, but still, you still have that air about you, that space, if you would.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool to see, because you represent your brand more than the clothes you wear. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think it's any of us. It's the energy that we embody when we do what it is that we're passionate about. It's hopefully, ideally, it's going to emanate. And when what it is that I do with feng shui is trying to get people's homes to then reflect the quality of energy that's the most essential and really the most authentic inside them. So I'm glad to know. I'm glad to know that you're able to see that.
Yeah. Well, again, remember you spoke out well about people that would do a consultation and then not too long get married or find the mate they were looking for, right? Because they created a space around them that allows that.
That's
Is
right.
that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, there's that. I mean, sometimes it's finding a partner. Sometimes it's finding a job. It might be, just looking for the right, either it could be business partners or social situations or healing family relationships. There's a number of, with intention, when you start working with the physical surroundings and you start examining what the physical surroundings are communicating, what they're reflecting back to you, you can change the feedback loop between what you look at and what you think and what you feel, and you start to shift. In the same way, I think I might have mentioned that, TV advertisements or print advertisements, you look at them for a matter of seconds. And, companies are spending millions of dollars to have access to your brain through your eyes because what you see really sells you something. And, we're selling ourselves concepts and so on in our home environments all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you could go really deep with that. Right?
Oh, it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
Now, the way you encountered feng shui was interesting as well because, there was an ad that you did see,
yes.
right?
Yeah, that's right. That's how I found my teacher. It was actually a roommate in London who first gave me a book on it. But then I found my teacher here in Vancouver by just seeing this ad of this lovely smiling lady, and she was talking about Western feng shui, and I thought, what's Western? What are we talking about? But there was just something about the ad that called to me, and that's what's interesting. I think when we're meant to find something, it'll find a way to communicate. So just seeing I was able to ignore it for several months, and then finally, it just like my intuition told me I need to call this woman up and speak to her, and she really completely changed my perspective.
And that one thing now has now connected you because I think if was it Mora that connected
It was
us?
Soness.
Stevens.
That's right.
Yeah.
And she's the one who actually almost insisted. She, in a similar way, she's read some articles I had written in some magazines in Japan, and she said, he's my teacher. And she contacted me. She said, are you training people? And I was like, well, not really. I've been looking at it. She's like, well, I want to come to Canada and I want to study with you. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. And she helped me take that quantum leap. So she's really wonderfully tuned in terms of sensing, people's potential and what it is that they should be doing. And, the way she connected us as well. And then, she's amazing like that.
That's amazing. There was a young lady that came through yesterday, right?
Okay.
Her name is Gina Johnson. And she came through because I sent a message on LinkedIn because she was on my LinkedIn profile as friends in my network. And I said, okay, I'm in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Pitched her a message. She came over. And I saw the one mutual friend we had was Soness Stevens.
She's got a far reach.
I was like...
But this is the technology, right? I mean, the way we're able to connect now, the way we were able to sort of get in touch, I was able to see where you were driving. I could guess where you were parked based on the GPS.
Like I could see you ride straight in. It was like riding into the horizon of the person I once knew. Right?
I know.
Once spoke to. That's fascinating. One of the segments we cover is your own unique real shoes, and it talks about yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your shoes that you've worn up to this point in life.
Mm-hmm.
What are some types of shoes you've worn up to this place in terms of the journey, the challenges, the struggles you've experienced?
Wow, that's a really cool question. I love that metaphor just because, we hear about to walk in someone else's shoes, right? For me, some of it, I really have to think because there's a few challenges. And what's interesting is, the way I tell the story in Feng Shui is that, the way water flows, you come across an obstacle and then you find a way to move around it. But I haven't always, and there have been times where I definitely stopped at when there was some blocks, when I wasn't getting the feedback. If I didn't get the job that I wanted, then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to pursue that. So in classical music, for example, I couldn't find a way to monetize that or a way to work that professionally. I wasn't accepted at university in the classical music department. I didn't even want to go in as a performer, but based on my performance level, they didn't accept me. Even though I was already doing some research, and I've since, I get a lot of recognition now. Like, I have my piano page on Facebook has over 8,000 international subscribers. It's all organic growth, and I've gotten some really great work as a result from that. But for many years, it seemed like there was this block because somehow I couldn't find a place in the industry, or I couldn't find a way to study what it was that I wanted. I think I always felt kind of blocked in school because I never found the topics as interesting after elementary school. Elementary school I quite enjoyed. But once we got into high school, as a child I loved science. And then I get into high school, I was like, well, we're not really learning anything interesting, And I was always interested in it. I was always fascinated by Leonardo da Vinci, who also had many areas of focus. And then when I went into college, I thought, well, okay, everybody was saying, why don't you just do science? It's maybe a good general thing. I don't know why they say this, because I think everybody should study philosophy and psychology and ways to understand other people and to understand themselves. And I still remember my first day in physics class, sitting there and thinking, how did they make science so boring? How did they do this? And we're supposed to be learning how the world works, and this should be really interesting, and it's really boring. And for me, then as a result, I ended up changing, departments and changing things. But for me, advanced education became really, really boring until I studied privately, with my Feng Shui teacher or other people who were teaching the things that I was really interested in.
You learn best.
That's right.
I remember this song, Remove the Wall.
No, I don't don't know. But I need to know it because I love
the song I think you said you liked.
I don't know that.
You said two things, Michael Jackson
I remember Michael Jackson, The Wall. That's true.
Yeah, The Wall. Michael Jackson, The Wall. That's it.
I remember buying. I think you asked me. It wasn't maybe my favorite song. Do you remember buying the record? And I remember buying the record. I remember buying that record.
Yes,
absolutely. I remember that. I remember buying Blondie, Parallel Lines.
Right.
I was like 10 years old. I remember buying the B-52s.
B-52. That's what you told me.
Yeah.
I'm saying BC.
Yeah,
B-52s.
B-52s, that's right.
Yeah,
There we are.
there we
See, it just sometimes takes a little time to unwrap the gifts and find that's sort of where our memories can be.
Was it worth it though? Like going through those shoes, was it worth it?
I mean, it has to be. You know, in a sense, the way my perspective is now, you know, if you're really paying attention, you look at everything that happens to you as a rerouting opportunity or an opportunity to really locate yourself and then decide, you know, like tune into your compass. Your inner compass, and decide really which way should I be going and where is it that I am exactly. And if you argue too much, you know, with what's going on now, basically you're arguing with all of reality and you're arguing with the universe. So I might have a lot of faith in you, but between you and the universe, my money's on the universe, right? I think things are, if we can connect to the reality that things are happening for a reason. It doesn't mean it's fair. It doesn't mean it's what we should continue to do. We can still change things. But I think, you know, the arguing, which is, I think that was my downfall, was I was doing that too much. I was arguing and I was complaining, and I think it got me in this mode of, you know, I can't do what it is that I want. And so I really changed that script and that pattern, and, you know, ditched those shoes. And it's, you know, how do you turn a can into a cant into a can? So, and I have, and sometimes it happens completely accidentally, like this thing on Facebook, this piano page, for example. It literally just happened because a friend wrote in a comment of something I posted on Facebook. He's like, oh, maybe you could just recommend some recordings for your friends who don't know much about music. And then I thought, oh, well, I could just start a page and then I can post some YouTube clips. And then it just starts growing, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I remember when I hit 100 people, and I remember when I hit 500 people, and then 1,000, and it's like, it's 9 years now. And 8,000 and something.
What's the name of the page?
The Piano Files with Mark Ainley,
yeah. Wonderful. And where's the other best place for people to connect with you?
Well, my other feng shui page is Sense of Space, contemporary
Still
feng
nice.
shui. So that's my primary employment. The music thing is still something that I think relates, because it's all about really harmony and beautifying the past, and I think there's a real connection between, you know, the harmony we hear in music and how it makes us feel, and the harmony in our environment and how it makes us feel, you know, and we're here in nature, and there's something integrally balanced in this kind of environment, even though there's a blend like we have here of technology. We have cars that help us, we have my bicycle that helped me find you, and the GPS and all of this, and so how do we balance all of this? And, you know, recording technology, you know, something man-made with the, you know, these beautiful instruments or these melodies that people
the
can play.
background songs are beautiful.
I know, right? And we have the ocean over here, which is...
Like right there, folks.
I know.
What are you most excited about?
I think I'm most excited about the can. Like, what we're talking about is just that, and, you know, like, even just coming to meet you, just recognizing it's like, wow, we can do this. We can find a way to make something happen. You know, like I had the opening in my schedule this afternoon, so I was like, okay, I'll make sure that I'm free in this window, and hopefully we're able to do it. And then, you know, the can't, not taking the can't personally.
And it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work, okay, well, what can we do? You know, and you try, okay, you try. And I don't even like the word try a lot of the time.
I like do.
Do?
As well as spend, I like invest.
And practice. Because, you know, I take this from the musical sense, that, you know, a musician, when they don't try to play when they're practicing at home, they're practicing, and if they make a mistake, they look at, okay, you know, they use their sense and they figure out, how can I avoid that in the next time, and how can I make this better? You know, so they're practicing. And I heard an interesting expression recently, which I love, which isn't, not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes permanent.
Agreed.
So, you know, the things we do over and over again, that becomes permanent. And then, of course, we can change those as well.
Practice perfect. There's a book, I think I read that, Practice Perfect.
Yeah. But I think it's not, you know, the concept of perfect, I think, is wrong. It makes permanent. And I think this is that famous...
Makes permanent, my apologies.
Yeah.
That's great. When you heard that this guy from the Caribbean was coming to meet you, what did you think?
I don't know. I was just looking forward to it. I was looking. I remember our conversation from a year and a half ago, and I was just.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to that conversation. Check it out. It was amazing.
Yeah. Number 1119.
There we
Beautiful
go.
numbers.
I know we're 212. Episode 212 of
That's
the video
great.
series. Yeah.
Wonderful.
This was fun, my friend. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I think just really what we were saying about how do you turn the can't into a can?
Yeah.
Finding a way.
Yeah. Inflow.
There is the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Mark Ainley, this was a great pleasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
A real pleasure.
Boom.
Thank
Did you have fun?
Oh, always.
Well, there we go.
Definitely.